priceless porcelain dolls I've collected on my travels over the years. But you see, I knew. And I knew because I've heard about the bolds. It wouldn't occur to most people to even think that animals were living in our midst, doing all manner of jobs, and, it ought to be said, making an invaluable contribution to society. Only those clever people out there who have read the bolds' books will know to look, won't we? Have a look around you now. Or if you're on your own, look out of the window. Or if it's dark, turn on the TV. There's one particular newsreader who has all the characteristics of a turtle. Actually, no, don't do that. Reading is much better for you than watching TV. And there's nothing much on these days, is there? But next time you're out and about, see how many people you can spot who you suspect are animals in disguise. Your teacher, perhaps. The bus driver. Or maybe the lady who works in the sweet shop. Probably best not to tell them you've twigged, though. Just give them a knowing look and tap the side of your nose. But let's get on. Where was I? Ah, yes, the bolds' household. That's all the permanent residents accounted for, but as I've explained, the bolds sometimes teach and help animals to make the transition to the human way of life. So, when this story begins, there were a few other guests at 41 Fairfield Road whom I really ought to tell you about. The current crop of live-in students at the bolds were a wild boar called Craig, who had trotted all the way to Teddington from a field in Newbury. Craig's ambition was to start his own brewery, selling delicious homemade truffle-flavoured alcohol-free beer. Miss Paulina, the otter, who didn't have a career in mind, but thought she might have a vocation as a nun, and a very noisy, rather argumentative goose called Snappy, who would one day make a very good traffic warden. Let's get going. Our story begins with a series of mysterious disappearances. Things start to go missing, and what this leads to is a whole heap of trouble for the bolds. One summer's day before lunchtime, Bobby Bold decided to make himself a cheese sandwich. He buttered 2 thick slices of bread, piled some cheese and pickle on one, slapped the other slice on top, cut it in half, and put it on a plate. What else? He thought. A nice tomato would be tasty. He turned round to get one from a bowl on the other kitchen counter, rinsed it under the tap, and turned back to his sandwich. But would you believe it? The sandwich had gone. Vanished. Just a few crumbs left. He blinked at the empty plate, looked to the left and the right in case he'd moved it, looked over to where the tomatoes were, but there was no sign of the cheese sandwich anywhere. Bobby scratched his head and frowned. Had he eaten it and forgotten? His stomach rumbled loudly, so he knew that wasn't it. He looked around again, even opening the fridge and peering inside, just in case he'd put it there. Some people might have got cross at this point, but Bobby hardly ever got cross. He wasn't the type. In fact, he smiled. "Someone's playing a game with me," he said to himself. "Very funny." He folded his arms and laughed. "I know it's you, Betty," he shouted. "You can come out now." But there was no reply. So he opened all the cupboards, fully expecting to find his cheeky twin sister hiding there, but with no results. "Aha!" he said at last, noticing the back door was open. Bobby wandered into the garden, where Uncle Tony was snoozing in a deck chair, and his sister Betty was standing on the patio with her hands on her hips, looking crosser than usual. "Did you drink my lemonade?" she accused her brother. "I just put it here while I went to get my book, and now it's all gone." Bobby gasped. "No way! I was inside making a sandwich, which has also disappeared." "Well, if it wasn't you, who was it? The only other person around is Uncle Tony." The twins looked over to the elderly hyena dozing in his chair on the lawn. "He certainly loves sandwiches and lemonade," agreed Bobby. "And he's got crumbs on his T-shirt," he said, getting a little closer. "He's always got crumbs on his T-shirt," pointed out Betty, "but I'm pretty sure he's faking that snoring." "Yes, nice one, Tony," said Bobby. "You had us going there for a minute." But Uncle Tony was deaf as a post these days and didn't respond. In fact, he was snoring quite loudly and appeared to be fast asleep. His mouth was wide open. "Ha ha!" laughed Bobby. "He looks so innocent."